In The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2, Abby actor Caitlin Dever and producer Craig Mazin discuss some of the game's modifications. One of the most horrifying and tragic scenes from the computer games was adapted for the HBO series on April 20th. Ellie, Bella Ramsey, is made to witness while Abby viciously murders Joel, Pedro Pascal, in retaliation for her father. A number of modifications were made to the game in order to adapt the sequence from The Last of Us Part 2, especially with regard to the presentation of Abby's past. Dever and Mazin discussed some of the modifications made to the game in The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2, particularly the dream scene that opens the episode, in an interview with Entertainment Weekly. In addition, Mazin described the monologue he composed for Abby, which she delivers prior to murdering Joel, but which was not included in the game. See below for their detailed explanations. According to Dever, it simply captures her feelings for the subsequent scene. She longs to return to her former life. She really wants the current state of affairs to change. Mazin, in her mind, it's all about picturing how upset and angry she is, but also how right she is. She needs to make it clear that what he did was wrong. The conclusion: I feel guilty. Condemned to death. No dispute. No argument. No, nothing. I really like the way Pedro depicted this acceptance of it there. In actuality, she is currently doing what he did. For those we care about, we kill. We'll get into more detail about this later in the season, but Joel has an experience that neither Ellie nor Abby have: loving a child, which is not the same as being a child and loving a parent. The HBO adaptation chooses to establish empathy for Abby much earlier with extra sequences, but the game purposefully delays revealing Abby's history. This difference in narrative style was evident from the beginning of The Last of Us Season 2. Abby confesses in the first episode that she intends to kill Joel soon after the Firefly Hospital slaughter. The dream sequence that begins Episode 2 is another example of these excursions, in which an older Abby warns her younger self about what would happen in the room where her father was just killed. A unique monologue for Abby that isn't in The Last of Us Part 2 was also incorporated by Mazin, the author of Season 2, Episode 2. Abby releases all of the hurt and rage she has been holding inside just before killing Joel, which helps to clarify a significant scene that the game leaves open-ended. The parallel becomes evident as the monologue demonstrates how Abby believes her acts are entirely justifiable. Abby is dying for someone she loves, just like Joel did. The Last of Us on HBO skillfully balances being an extremely accurate copy of its original work with making important improvements. The most recent instance of such is found in Season 2, Episode 2. If Abby's motivations are clear to the audience, she is just a better and more sympathetic character, which increases the significance and effect of her killing Joel. The Last of Us on HBO keeps filling in the gaps and demonstrates why it is among the best video game adaptations ever created.